Hi, my name is Jim Gibson. Thank you for coming to my channel today. I am running for State Superintendent of Public Instruction, and I spent 20 years on the Vista School Board. But you know, it was kind of interesting that I was watching the news these days, and it says that the president and his supporters are going to start a new organization in government. It's Disinformation Bureau. So the Disinformation Bureau is going to decide what truth is and what lies are. And this is actually going to be in the Department of Homeland Security. This is dangerous. But let me go back, because I remember a similar situation. When I was on the school board, we have things called closed session, which means only the trustees and the senior administrators are there with lawyers. And it usually deals with legal issues. And in this case, they were going to sue a local church. And I asked them, why are you going to sue a local church? And they said, because they're passing out hate speech across the street from our high schools. And they were giving this hate speech to our students. And I said, okay, well, what is this hate speech? And they said, they're saying that Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. And I said, well, that's what I believe. And I said, you know, other religions have a right to stand across the street too and peacefully pass out information that their religion is the only way. I happen to believe this church, that what they're saying is right. But as the discussion continued on, I asked for a definition. What is hate speech? And of course, they were very happy to give me a definition. They said, we can't tell you what it is, but you'll know when you hear it. And I said, oh, so I am the arbitrator of what hate speech is as a person. And they said, yes. And I said, so everything you say is hate speech to me, so therefore you need to shut up. And of course, they never sued the church because you're going to lose in court on that one. And I was surprised that even the lawyers didn't speak up on that. But to make a long story short, I would say within a year or two, the Supreme Court dealt with that question of hate speech. And they said all speech is protected under the First Amendment. And therefore, it's not hate speech, and it protects hate speech. Even if you want to say something that's really disgusting to people, you still have the right to say it under the Constitution. However, let's move on a little bit. So they lost that battle in court. A couple of them, when I pointed that out, that hate speech was a protected speech area, they said, well, what does a bunch of unelected judges should tell us about anything? The Supreme Court. That's in the Constitution also. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Disinformation Bureau. Now they don't say hate speech, they just say disinformation, and we're going to tell you what it is, and we're going to tell you can't say it. Department of Homeland Security. That's even a scary department to me anyway, because I think that we already have the FBI, we already have law enforcement, which I support. I just get concerned over departments that are going to put out things like disinformation bureaus and decide what they decide is truth. As a child, I remember, probably a young teenager, during the Vietnam War, I would sit with my dad at night and he would watch the news broadcast, and it would be Walter Cronkite was bringing you the news from Vietnam. And he would say, an unbiased viewpoint of the news. And every time he said that, my dad kind of like moved around. And I said, Dad, what seems to be the problem? He says, it's unbiased. He said, you know, that's the most arrogant thing I ever heard. And I said, how is that arrogant? He said, because everyone is biased. And everyone views the world through their biases. The only person in the universe that's not biased is God. And he said, you need to listen to both sides of the story. But when someone says that they are unbiased, that's the ultimate definition of arrogance. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope they don't do this Disinformation Bureau that's going to determine what you should hear and what other, label it as this is disinformation. So, we've investigated it as the government, and you need to pay attention to that. The question I need to ask you is, I'm running, it's a pretty tight race. It's a pretty nasty race. Nobody else I am running against has this type of experience on the school board and has stood up for these principles day in, day out. I have not changed from day one on that school board until I decided not to run 20 years later. And I'm running on the same principles today. I hope I have your vote. I hope you vote for me this month, right now. Voting is taking place. I hope you vote for me. Thank you for your time. You have a great day.